Hi, welcome back, beautiful, beloved souls. My name is Gem Stone, and I am a psychic medium, and I am an author. And on this channel, just like the books I've published, content varies. You'll find I don't fit a particular niche. I look at anything and everything to do with death and life through a lens, hence the name of the channel. So you might get mystery, you might get self-help, singing, supernatural, paranormal, conspiracies, everything missing 411. I look at everything. So we are going to talk about something that sits right at the edge of fascination and danger. Channeling. What is it? How is it different from remote viewing? And the question that almost no one asks honestly, what are we actually connecting to? Let's start simple. We often hear channeling and remote viewing talked about like they're the same thing. They're not. Remote viewing, like what you see from people such as John Vivanco, John V on Metaphysical, it's structured. It has protocols, targets, blind conditions, and even under those conditions, the claimed accuracy is around 65%. Not perfect, not even close to perfect, but honest. Now, compare that to channeling. There's no protocols, no blind targets, no way to measure accuracy in the same way. So the question becomes, if remote viewing under strict conditions is around 65%, what is channeling? Because when I channel, I don't say, this is 100% truth. I say, this is what came through. And even then, I prepare. Especially with automatic writing, I always say, spirits of love and light, protect me as I write. Because whether people like to admit it or not, opening yourself up like that is like becoming a radio antenna. And here's where it gets real. Not everything broadcasting is something you want to tune into. I've heard from others, including stories shared by people like John, about individuals who channeled and just didn't get insight. They lost stability because something else came through. So we have to be honest. There isn't just high vibration. There is also confusion, distortion, and yes, darker influences. And what you receive depends on two things: what's transmitting and what you, as the receiver, are tuned to. Because if you are unwell, under the influence, emotionally unstable, you're not a clear channel. You're an open one. And those are not the same thing. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Many well-known channelers claim specific entities. For example, Jane Roberts channeled Seth. Dolores Cannon spoke about guides and past life entities. Others claim ancient teachers, interdimensional beings, even Christ consciousness. And I always come back to this question. How is that information actually being received? Let's say Seth was real. Back on his plane, was he speaking English, or is something else happening? Because when I once asked, who am I channeling? The answer wasn't a name. It wasn't an identity. It was your higher self, which is also all that is. No personality, no title, no backstory, just consciousness. So then we have to ask, why do so many people receive names? Why do entities introduce themselves? And here's a possibility. Not a conclusion, just a possibility. Is a kind of shared field of consciousness? Call it the ether, the collective, source. And the human mind translates that into something it can understand. A voice, a personality, a guide. Because humans love identity. We trust it. We build belief systems around it. And this is where things can shift. Because once you say the wisdom comes from Seth, or this comes from an ancient being, something changes. It gains authority, mystique, even power. And history shows us entire belief systems can form from that. Now let me bring this back to something personal. I've written, I've channeled, I've shared insights, but I've never said this comes from a named entity. And I've stayed relatively unnoticed. And I sometimes wonder if I had said, this comes from Master Chang Ming, an ancient teacher, would it land differently? Would it grow faster? Would people trust it more? Not because it's more true, but because it feels more important. And this is where we need to stay grounded. Because yes, it's possible that there are external intelligences, there are entities, there are influences beyond us. But it's also possible that intuitive people are accessing something internal and giving it form. So, how do we test it? That's the hardest part. because unlike remote viewing, channeling is deeply subjective. But we can still ask, is it consistent? Is it grounded? Does it encourage clarity or dependence? Does it allow questioning or shut it down? And maybe the most important question of all, does it keep you sovereign or give your power away? Because at the end of the day, whether it's a guide, an alien, a higher self, or something else entirely, the responsibility still sits with the human receiving it. So for me, I'll keep doing what I've always done. I'll channel, I'll question it, I'll stay aware of my own bias, and I'll never assume that just because something comes through, it must be truth. Because the moment we stop questioning is the moment we stop being grounded. All right, that's today's deep dive. Stay curious, stay aware, and maybe be a little selective about which stations you tune into. Thank you very much for any and every view. I hope you are doing well, and I would ask if you drop a comment to do so with respect. Please be kind to each other. Take care of yourselves. Love, light, and blessings. Bye.